Well, hello everyone and welcome back to my studio. In this lesson today, I'm really excited to be painting these beautiful sunflowers in stock. And I've got out my paints and we're gonna do a loose impressionistic version of these sunflowers. So I hope you stick around and watch the video. Got out all my colors on one of these Stay Wet palettes. And you'll see it's kind of messy because, you know, it takes a lot to get these videos ready, and sometimes I don't want to just get rid of a lot of paint, so I kind of reuse what's there. But I also have this mixing tray that I got from Michael's, so I'm going to put a little bit of this this golden liquid medium, this gloss glazing medium. And sometimes, of course, it doesn't want to come out when I want it to. So I'll just put some of that out right on that. And I'm going to start off with a wash. I've got out this dioxazine yellow oxide, or sorry, transparent yellow oxide. And I'm going to mix some of this up using this big brush. And I'm just going to put some of this right on here. Right, so now that I've got that layer of transparent yellow oxide on there, I'm going to start blocking in some of the other colors and just in the background. So where I see some of that purple, just kind of block in some of those shapes. So now I'm going to go and get some paint on my spatula tool, and I'm going to add a little of my cad yellow medium in there just to have a little bit more of an opaque color. And this is kind of where the fun, you know, starts, because you're going to have to really loosen up when you start adding in some of this. I'm going to get a little bit of that burnt umber and mix it in with my dioxazine violet even that I have left, because I like using up old paint. And then I'll just I'm going to block in some of the sunflower centers. Maybe that one's a little far away, but that's kind of, I was copying it too closely. So I'm going to move it a little closer so it's not so far off the canvas. And there's one up here. And I just make sure they're not lined up. If you have one that's right above the other, just kind of move it off to one side. And then there's a real pretty one there. I'm just gonna kind of put that right about there. So you kind of have to be a bit of a floral arranger. Just kind of add a little in there once in a while. And then while I've got that that mud on my palette, I'm adding some Viridian to it, and might as well get a nice kind of dark base for around the sunflower. So there's a lot of this dark in here. I'm just going to kind of put in a bit of that in here and there. Put that in there. And kind of know the sunflowers are kind of going to be around, but we're going to be covering over that with some of the yellow. Going to be some leaves coming down, so you could put a few nice little marks for those leaves. And then you've got the top of the vase here. You can Look at that, you can scratch that off and make a nice glassy looking vase. And just put some abstract-y type marks in there for the stems. Okay. And I might add a little bit of this kind of turquoise blue color that I've got out on my Stay Wet palette. While I'm there, I'll add a few of those kind of cool blue marks in there. You can see how quickly your painting starts to take shape when you start putting paint down with this palette knife. It's pretty kind of, it's a lot of fun. All right, so we've kind of got some basics going there. Maybe let's put a little bit of a kind of a leaf coming down here and there. All right, so I rebooted my paint supply because it can run out when you're doing something this like large and loose. So I kind of got a blob of the Cad Yellow Light and Cad Yellow Medium, and I'll just go and add a bit of that Cad Yellow Light and just get some of that, mix it in with the Cad Yellow Medium so you're not doing your brightest yellows, but I'll just sort of get some of that out, and then I'll get in a few more details of my flowers. So I want to put in some of where there's a highlight here and there, and you don't want to do too many highlights everywhere because then the whole thing just kind of becomes the same. So just sort of putting down some of that paint like that. And just sort of go with it, you know, you gotta just sort of make your move and then let it go. Get some more Cad Yellow Light and pop in some highlights. Just keeping it real simple. Can add a few highlights to the tips of some of those. And I'm looking forward to the purples. And while you got a little bit of that yellow, I always like to distribute a bit of that into the vase, so I'll just kind of put a few marks of that into the vase, just so the color keeps kind of moving around the canvas there. And you get some really nice, you know, thick brush strokes doing it this way too. Okay, so now I'm gonna start on adding some of the details of the purple. So I'm just gonna wipe my spatula tool off. And I'm going to grab a little bit of, I want to start off with some of that nice quinacridone red and a bit of that dioxazine violet, just to have sort of a warmer base before I start adding too much of that dark, all those dark purple flowers. So I'm just gonna kind of put in some random kind of shape for those different flowers. And I'll put in some with that quinacridone red. And just to have something to make that purple kind of stand out. Give my paint a little spritz. And keep going. So just get some of that quinacridone. I'm just gonna put a bit of that colored, have it kind of going off the page. Remember, this is a real abstract painting, so you don't have to worry about it being perfect. And now I'll get some of that dioxazine violet and got out some of this quinacridone magenta. Just keep putting in a little more. More action now that we've got this color in there. And now I'm going to add a little bit of white and quinacridone red and the dioxazine violet, and just sort of put in a few kind of flowery marks in there. Getting more of that to go around. So I'm just taking some more quinacridone red. Quinacridone red, by the way, and white makes a really pretty pink. And a little bit more of the dioxazine violet. Get that nice kind of purple color for the highlight. Sort of put some of those marks in there. You just want to, when you're painting like abstract painting like this, I feel like it's good to don't get hung up on any one thing, because you want it to just kind of flow. And I'll put some of those purples into the vase a little here. Put a little purple in there. Okay, so I want to just add a little bit more of a highlight, so I'll add some more white to that. Just kind of dab some of those edges there, just to show some of the flowers kind of have a little bit of a highlight. Okay, so now we've got that great purple and yellow going there. Now I'm gonna just take a little bit of time and put in a little bit of the centers of the sunflower. So let's go get some of this burnt sienna and just sort of mark in a little bit, kind of darken those centers a little. There we go. That really adds a lot of dimension to the sunflowers as well. All right, and so the next thing I'm gonna do is start on the green. So I've got out this on my palette already, some of these cadmium yellows, and I'm adding some sap green. And then I can just sort of pile in some leaves, you know what I mean? Just some nice sunflower-like shapes kind of go in there with some of that. And it's just a real kind of basic green. Put some of these sunflower, the little back parts to them in. Now you see it starts to combine the painting a lot when you add those in there. Really starts to, you know, attach the underpaint to the foreground. And I've got this really pretty color straight out of the tube. This light olive green, I really love it. So I'll put some more of that out. And add a few highlights here and there with that. Just kind of make some marks for the stems if you want a few. All right, so now we've got some different greens going, and I'm gonna just get some color around to make it look glassy. We'll get I'll get my paintbrush for this and just you get like some sap and a little bit of cobalt blue and white to make sort of a greeny gray. And you can just sort of put some of that in. And then add a little more white to that, some more blue. And you can put a kind of a hint of a water line in there. And then you can even put a little sparkle on the edge for a little highlight if you want. And for the background, I think I'll just go with, kind of like the warm yellow color. So I might take some gray and some white and just mix up sort of a real warm grayish color. There's just whatever's on my palette to sort of mix up a warmer, just test it out. So I got that, and then I can mix a little more white in. And I'm just gonna sort of use my brush to really quickly dab some of this in. And so I'm using this gray that I got, and it's called Neutral Gray from Liquitex Basics. And I'll add a little bit of that transparent yellow oxide to it to warm it right up. And you can just play around with what works, you know, for you. You could do an all black background if you feel safer with that, or you could do a, you know, a blue. I'm just gonna try this out. Sometimes the background can be just as hard as the painting, so to go neutral can be just kind of an easy way to get through it. There's no real wrong way to do it. You just have to, you can kind of blend in some of those purples and just have fun with the whole thing, because this is not by any means, you're not trying to make a masterpiece per se. It's really, you're just trying, you know, you're trying something new, so don't be hard on yourself. You know, just have fun and play with the paint and enjoy the process. And you'll become a great painter if you enjoy the whole process and just kind of go with it, you know, not worrying about the end result so much. And then you just kind of keep going. And I'm trying to keep that background kind of abstract looking. And you can keep your edges sharp, or you can take your brush and kind of loosen up the vase a little. Just whatever you want to try. And put a little yellow on the lip of the vase there. Okay, well, that is our quick and easy sort of demo on how to do an abstract sunflower scene, the sunflower in stock. I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I look forward to teaching you in the future. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe and share it with a friend. Thanks for watching.